Hello, everybody, and welcome to Anime Cafe Podcasts Reactions. My name is Anton, and I am the host and producer here at Anime Cafe. I host and produce both Anime Cafe and Freecast, and I'm thinking about doing something new here, just trying it out for the first time. I'm going to be doing some reactions and impressions to different shows that I'm watching this season and maybe for upcoming seasons, and maybe a few other people from the Anime Cafe podcast crew will take on and do the same thing. I'm swiveling in my chair. So this episode, I'm going to be doing impressions on Tokyo Ghoul A, episode 2. So the first episode takes place after the Aogiri invasion, and we sort of follow along a few different characters' plot lines in this episode. The episode starts out with a flashback to the first encounter with the owl, and we get to see a few of the characters in their younger days. The episode continues to follow along the CCG plotline, and we get to see a few interactions, and we even get introduced to a few new characters. One of those new characters is actually Akira Mado, who has now become Amon's new partner. Swoons! We also continue to follow along the plot line of the Anteku crew and see what some of those characters are getting up to. During the episode, we pay special attention to Toka, who is now applying to go to school at Kami University, a similar school that our young Ken Kentucky used to attend. Yes, Ken Kentucky. During the course of the episode, we also get to see our good friend Ken Kaneki. And we get to see what he's doing now that he has joined Aogiri Tree. We continue to see a softer side of Ken where he is sparing a young man's life in one scene, actually. And I thought this was kind of interesting because Ken seemed so distant and cold and dark at the end of the first episode. So seeing a slightly maybe softer side at the end of, well, not the end of, it was towards the middle of the second episode. It was kind of nice to see that. Some speculation for the upcoming episode of the show. It was titled Hangman, actually. And if you're familiar with the manga even just a little bit, you would know that Ken's entitled role for the entire manga series itself is to be the hanged man, in that he is the sacrifice piece and everything like that. So maybe they'll be sticking with that theme for Tokyo Ghoul A. I know that this is a different interpretation of the plotline and everything like that, and I'm sure all of you guys are familiar with that as well, seeing how there's just an uproar all over the internet towards it, whether it be manga fans complaining, anime fans being fans, or manga fans being fans, and vice versa. It just gets all mixed up. I'm personally okay with that. I don't really care. I think it's cool. I love seeing anything Tokyo Ghoul related, and I'm just looking forward to seeing what's going to happen next. But I really think that the next episode will be about Ken more than anything. I wouldn't be surprised if it's a Ken-centered episode following along what he's getting up to, because I'm sure we have a lot of questions. Seeing as that recently, like in this episode specifically, we didn't see a lot of Ken. We got little snippets like I mentioned previously, but it mostly focused in on the CCG with some Anteku interactions and everything like that. So I'm just curious to see where they're going to go and where they're going to piece together all of the Aogiri plot lines. Another thing that I'd like to point out that happened during the episode is that we saw a softer side of Uta and Renji during the episode when they came to visit Anteku at the end of the episode. And it's kind of interesting to see this softer, sweeter take on these two characters towards the end of the episode, especially seeing, if you're familiar with the manga, that those characters might not be the softest and nicest characters, although Uta is just kind of weird in general, so it's hard to place a personality type on him specifically. Here I'd like to point out that we're going to go into a manga spoilers section, so if you have not read the entirety of the manga, then please just end the video here, comment below, do something. I don't know. I don't really care. Get up to whatever you want. This is a trial and error series for me. I'm going to be getting comfortable with all of this as I go along. But yeah, this is going to be something that I tend to do with some of the series if there's a manga that's further ahead or anything like that, or there's information that some of you might not be familiar with. Spoilers section, I guess you could call it. So this spoiler section is going to mostly cover Eto and Yoshimura. If you're familiar with the manga whatsoever, then you're well aware that Eto is actually Yoshimura's daughter. It's revealed towards the end of the manga that Yoshimura actually conceived a child with a human, and that's where we get Eto, or the owl. Now, Yoshimura is actually the second owl, or the smaller owl, that they're referencing during the course of this episode of Tokyo Ghoul A. It's actually kind of obvious throughout the entire episode, so I don't know why they're doing that. Like, every single time that they mention the owl, or there being a smaller owl, or anything like that, they kind of do like a flash sideways to Yoshimura, and I'm curious as to why they're doing that. What I think that it might be, well, my speculations are that they're actually going to reveal the identity of Eto and Yoshimura way earlier than most of us are expecting, or at least manga fans are expecting. The other sort of plot theory that I have is that Eto might not actually be the same person that they were in the manga. Now, just follow along with me here a little bit. What I think might actually be happening is that they're trying to do a new interpretation of those two characters and sort of where they go with things. At the end of the manga, if you're familiar, you sort of see Yoshimura take on the CCG crew, and then Eto come in to save him and reveal their identity, or her identity, and show off the fact that they are the true owl and everything like that. So maybe this interpretation of the Tokyo Ghoul plotline will have those two characters revealing themselves sooner, or just not being the same way that we originally thought. What I personally think might actually happen is that we're going to get some sort of clash maybe halfway through. I'm expecting this anime series, I think, to be 24 episodes. I could be wrong. Don't castrate me or anything like that. I don't want to be Juzo. But I think that it might be 24 episodes, and probably by the halfway point, we're going to get some sort of crazy confrontation or something like that, where Yoshimura is going to have to reveal his identity as the second owl, and Eto will be revealed as to who they are. Because at the end of this episode, we kind of get a glimpse of the character, but only from the bottom half of their face, and that doesn't really tell us much, so we're not 100% sure if it's actually who I personally think it is, in that they're the same person from the manga. I'd love to hear what you guys are thinking about this whole situation. I'm kind of curious. I don't know. I love talking about Tokyo Ghoul and speculating different things as far as what's going on with Tokyo Ghoul Re. If you're familiar with that, if you're reading that, I would love to talk to you guys about it. Same goes for this show, actually, because it's just a whole new interpretation of Tokyo Ghoul, and I'd love to see where they're going with it. And I'm really curious, especially with a lot of these characters, what's going to happen, because I loved the way that the manga ended, personally. Like, I really liked it. Some people complained and everything like that, but I had no complaints. Well, I did have complaints, but not as many as most people did. My biggest question right now is, where is my purple-haired prince, Tsukiyama? I must know what he's getting up to. Is the gourmet just running around, "Shoes, Kaneki-kun, Kaneki-kun, Kaneki-kun." Can you guys tell I'm going to be cosplaying him soon? No, but seriously, I really like what's going on with Tokyo Ghoul A, and I'd love to hear what you guys have to say about the series itself. If you guys are liking it, what some of your speculations are. Try and keep it spoiler free here, at least in the comments. But feel free to tweet at me. I'm Mantuan Addison on Twitter. You guys can find me on Tumblr as well. I'm Sugoi Hotcakes. Feel free to send me a message or anything like that. I don't really care. You can find Anime Cafe podcast related stuff. You guys can go to our website. It's animecafepodcast.com. We've got links to all of our social media stuff on there, whether it be for the podcast itself, or you can go to the contact page and get a hold of any of our social media stuff, whether it be myself, Nina, Jillian, or Emma. We're all there, so you guys can hit us up there as well. Otherwise, I will catch you, my Anime Cafe squad, next time.